Hello, and thanks for tuning in. This is Patti Behan, and today I'm going to show you how to make this watercolor card using Wendy Vecchi stamps and her STAY-tion. And this is a fun technique that uses die cuts as a mask while you're watercoloring. So to begin, I'm using Tim Holtz Distress watercolor cardstock. One side is smooth and the other side has a rough side, if you can see it there. And today I'm using the smooth side. So place your magnet onto the card to hold it in place, and I'm using the Country Flower set, and it comes with stamps, die cuts, and stencils. And I've previously stamped and cut out the flower and the leaves because that's going to be the focal point of my card. And those are going to be our masks. Next, I'm going to take the flower that I already stamped and place it where I'm going to ultimately want it on my card. And I'm testing out where I'm going to put the leaves, and then I'll adhere to the stamp block. And then once that's in place, I take Prickly Pear blendable dye ink, and I'm going to ink up the whole stamp. Next, I'm going to take Fern Green, and then I'm going to go over top around the edges, not covering the whole stamp, just blot it randomly, like so. And you want to start with a lighter color before you go darker. Now I'm spritzing it with water. Just one spritz is good. We don't want to get it really wet. And then go ahead and stamp it over the mask. And then you'll heat set it to let it dry. And next we're going to stamp the veins on the leaves, and I'm putting that on the stamp block and using jet black archival ink, inking the stamp, and go ahead and stamp. And make sure you press firmly near the edge where the mask is because there is a little lip. And it looks like this. And now I'm going to take the background of the flower, place it on the stamp block. And I'm going to start with Bluebird ink. Again, I'm going to cover the whole stamp with the ink. And the next color I'm going to use is Violet. And again, just randomly tap. And once that's done, you spray it with water again. Looks like that. And go ahead and line up the design and stamp that down. And it looks like that. Now we're going to go ahead and dry that. And we're going to stamp the flower on top using jet black archival ink. And then it's like that. Now we're going to do the center of the flower, and I'm going to use sunflower. And for this, I'm just going to stamp it. I'm not going to add the water. And then, okay, so now that's done. On to the next thing. And I'm taking the background of the butterfly and taking pink peony ink, inking the whole stamp. And then I'm back to violet again and just tapping it randomly. Spritz it with water and stamp it down. And then we'll let that dry again too. And once that's dry, we're going to stamp the image on top with jet black archival. And now we're ready to cut out our pieces. So I'm going to take the butterfly die and attach it with a piece of removable tape, and then just run it through the die cut machine. Then once that's done, you're just going to set it aside for later. And now I'm going to cut out the flower with a pair of scissors. And when you're cutting this out, just leave a little bit of a white edge around the flower. It'll just make it stand out a little more. Now I'm going to take a piece of Wendy Vecchi Perfect White cardstock trimmed to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inch. And I'm going to take the stencil and I'm going to stencil those rows of dots down at the bottom of the card. Put on the magnets and take your detail tool. I mark it so I know what color ink I'm using, so I'm using violet blendable dye ink this time. Get some ink on the tool and just go ahead and color in the dots. And then it looks like this. And now we're going to get ready to stamp our sentiment. So I'm using the Wendy Vecchi Merci and More stamp set, and I'm using You're the Best out of that. Place the stamp on the block, and I'm just using a piece of black scrap paper. And we're going to ink it up with Emboss It Clear embossing ink. And when you stamp it down, stamp it in the corner. This way you only have to cut one side. And it looks like that. And then I'm going to use super fine detail embossing powder. The reason I'm using this is because it has thin lines in the stamp and you'll get a crisper image once you melt the powder. Return the excess to the jar and go ahead and heat it with the heat tool. And when the powder melts, it looks like this, and it's nice and crisp. Now I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to go as close to the letters as I can get. And then once I do that, I'm going to cut it at a diagonal on the beginning of the word. And we're ready to put everything together. I'm just using a regular A2 card with the fold on the side here. And I'm going to adhere the panel with the double stick letter tape. Put it in the center, and then I'm just placing all my images to see where I want to put them down. And I think that looks good. So let's go ahead and take the double stick tape again and attach all the images. And that's it. You have this beautiful card that you can give to someone to congratulate for a job well done. So if you would like to see more videos, please click the subscribe button below. And if you would like to give this project a try, you can find a supply list in the description box below. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.